To the Steve Setka Show, your uncensored champion. I'm your host, Steve Setka, and I'm diving deep into the things that matter most to me: sport, freight, and faith. On the show, we're not afraid to go beyond the surface. We get real, share bold opinions, and hit you where it may be uncomfortable. These are the topics I'm passionate about, and I bet they'll spark something in you too. So buckle up for quick, high-impact episodes that'll shake you up. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Steve Setka Show, episode 29. Man, we are rolling. We got a great guest on today. But before we get into the guest and the introduction, as per usual, we start off by framing the show with a Bible verse. Fully focused, beautifully sound. Romans 8:18 reads, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." Adam Henry, former hockey player, professional athlete turned money manager, professional financier. How you doing?
I am doing very well, Steve. Thank you for having me.
This is awesome to have you, man. We just had a great conversation. You were telling me about putting your daughter down to bed. I find it funny because I hear people say that all the time. They're like, "Oh, I got to put my daughter down or my son down, and then I can get on with you." I find that such a funny phrase, putting my daughter down or my child down. I'm going to get into this very soon. Tell us about how this works. How do you put your child down to bed, and how difficult of a process, or how beautiful is it?
Yeah, I would say it's equal parts beautiful and challenging. There's definitely good days and bad days. I can't remember the stat. Someone said it recently that they put it down in numbers. If you think until a certain age, days in a year, the amount of times you get to do it. If you and your wife split the duty, you only get to do it half the days. You really only have so many days you get to do it. So don't rush it. And so I try to be mindful of that, because there are days when you're tired and it's been a long night, but I don't know. There is some nights when you're reading them a story and it's probably the most precious time for I have a daughter, so it's like a little girl, and she's just as cute as she can be sometimes when she's sleepy right before bed. Some days it's like you had a long evening, you get home from work, you got to get dinner going, you did all this, she's grumpy all night, but putting them to bed is a pretty special thing as a parent. So you'll get to experience that soon.
I look forward to it, man. It's T-minus 6 to 7 weeks is when it's coming. So I'm very, very excited. I talked about it on the show, which is amazing. I love what you said there, and I love to pick on language and words. You said, "I get to put my daughter down to bed." You didn't say "I have to" or it's an obligation or whatnot. Frankly, yeah, it is something you got to do, but that little perspective shift in language we talk about all the time. What you say matters, right? You said, "I get to put her down," which is a privilege, something that you look forward to. I know it's a net negative, right? Was what you're saying. It's very positive that you have that opportunity to do it, but I think the world teaches us that "Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this," instead of the blessing that comes with these privileges that we have in our life. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, I think you and I have talked about that a little bit too, just, and how we reconnected recently and talking about the word gratitude and just how powerful gratitude can be if you think about it. Because yeah, little things like that, if you frame them in a way that it's a privilege as opposed to like a chore, I try not to think taking care of my child is a chore, because that's just, like you said, it's a horrible way to frame something like that, because it is a privilege. So, but it's like anything in life, it's not that easy when you're tired and grumpy and life is hard. So it's hard to remember. But if you can try to I didn't even know I said get. So I'm happy that you showed me that I framed it that way. That's fantastic.
Well, I try to do that for sure, Adam. I focus on little things like that. It's detail, right? And you asked me before this recording if what's it like doing a podcast? And I said, it's so fun, man. It's incredible. You get to the depths of people's character, right? And when you're a depth person, I consider myself a depth person. I like to get past the surface. I think that in society, we look too much at "Oh, how you doing? What's up?" Oh, it's a little bit too delicate to, dig a little bit deeper on somebody, especially if you just meet them for the first time. I get that it's awkward if you're, asking them questions of depth and you don't really know them. But, since you and I knew each other a little bit before this, and, we've met a couple times prior to this to talk about money, to talk about life, to talk about golf, to talk about hockey. Now we can get into the nitty gritty and grind down to the ends of the earth about who we are as people.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree with you that and forgive me if you can hear my dog whimpering. I've got my dog beside me.
Baby monitor.
He's got a cone on. Yeah, he had to get stitches and he's sad, but he should settle down eventually. But to your point, it's true. A lot of daily conversation is like very, I guess, shallow, I guess, or it would be like you're not getting very deep. Like it's, hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. Like it's just, how's the weather? This and that. I actually had an interesting, not, in the line of work that I do, there's an individual that's coined something called values based financial planning, and it's all about getting into like what's like really important for people, and his introduction conversation with people is trying to figure out like what actually is their deepest values, and then that guides the financial planning conversation. But he likes to start a conversation with everyone, and I met him one time and he actually did it, and it put me off guard a little bit, but it really did start the conversation. Is instead of him saying, hey, how are you doing today, he says, hey, nice to see you, tell me something good that's going on in your life right now. That's how he starts every conversation.
That's
And it
amazing.
threw me off when he asked it to me. I was like, oh, I don't know. And I had to think about it for a second. And then it was a very interesting way to start a conversation, but it actually, like, it was kind of powerful. Do I have the confidence and the guts to start conversations with strangers that way? Not yet. I haven't quite figured that out, but maybe someday.
It'll probably come, because like I feel the same way. I hate that question. Hey, how are you? Or what's up or something like that. It's just so ridiculous. You're just asking
Yeah.
for like, oh yeah, I'm good. Or no, oh,
Yeah. I hate the what's up. I used to have that one. What's up? Not much. It's just a
it's like
weird.
back when we were teenagers, and we're sitting
Yeah.
out there at the
Yeah. I've
classroom.
never liked that one.
It's ridiculous. I feel the same way. I learned something from someone in networking not too long ago where they said, um, the better the networker, the better that they are getting into conversations. For example, who is Adam Henry, right? Instead of, how are you? What's up? What do you do for work?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
baseline questions that don't really pull out, the nitty gritty. I know that a lot of people are not comfortable with that. For example, my wife is a lot more introverted. She would, she'd be thrown off and she would probably walk away if you
Yes,
asked.
it's not for everyone for sure. Depends
Yeah.
who you're talking.
Yeah.
Another
But
good one
it's,
I had one time is
yeah,
instead of the classic, so what do you do for work? The question was, what are you passionate about? What a way better thing to what a way better, but to your point, I liked it and we had a great conversation. But if you were a little introverted or shy, you'd be like, who the heck are you to ask me that? We don't know each other. I don't want to
we
tell
don't
you
even
my
know each other, man.
passions.
It's crazy. I talked to somebody from Central America not long ago. They said, the question, what do you do? Everywhere else in the world outside of pretty well North America doesn't talks about what you do for fun or what you're passionate about. So, if you're asking somebody from other areas in the world, not everywhere, of course, they say, what do you do? They would tell you, oh, I play cards, or I play hockey, or I love
Yeah,
golf, or
interesting.
something like that. For some reason in North America and American society, I guess you could say, we really focus on that, like capitalism and, how are you
Like,
doing?
what is your job? What do you
Right.
do
What's
for
your
work?
job?
And that's like the first thing I want to know about you, because that's how I'm gonna. That's the first judgment I'm gonna make on whether or not I think you're worth any salt is what do you do for a living? And isn't that
Exactly.
the stupidest thing? I think that's.
It's
But I'm
ridiculous.
guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I'll start a conversation that way. So, what do you do for work? It's just like a crutch, I guess.
It's crazy, man, because we do that, and then we make judgments for sure. And that's a good segue to actually get into here, because we could talk a little bit about your profession and who you are for sure, and we'll integrate it in with some of the themes of the show. Freight and transportation is what I do. We both love sports, and then faith is kind of the overarching umbrella. But I agree. It's really, I mean, if you break it down, your business or your lifestyle, how much money you make really isn't the highest priority in life. Everybody says it doesn't matter how much money you make at the end of your life. It depends what sort of impact you had on the world. So, like, what sort of impact then, Adam, are you making in the world right now in your financial planning career? And tell us a story.
Yeah. 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 So, on the surface, like what I do for a living is provide financial planning. So, if someone has a financial planning need or a financial planning goal and they're trying to figure out where they're trying to get in life, and they have a job, they might be married, they might have kids, there's a whole bunch of different things. It's how do you put that all together? And then like the X's and O's of it is, how much do you need to put aside each year until you get to retirement? Which accounts are the most tax efficient for you to use? How are we going to ensure that you have enough to accomplish all the things you want to do? All of those things. Like that's the job. What I like to think the impact and what I'm trying to do with my career is, help people realize that it's a little more than just what stocks do you buy or how much should I save, and like try to get the conversation to more like, money is a tool that you can use. I battle with this all the time. When people ask what I do for a living, I almost don't like saying, I'm a financial advisor. It has a negative connotation. I think everyone would agree with that. Uh, Wealth management, it feels a little bit weird. I didn't come from wealth, so saying I'm a wealth manager is a little bit unusual for me. What I'm trying to like where I feel good is when someone comes in thinking the conversation is going to be about, how are you going to invest my money? And they leave with like a clear picture of like how money fits into their lives and how they're doing and what they need to do to accomplish things in their life. Like that's the stuff that I like more than just like, hey, if you buy this company, you'll get this return. Like that stuff's just, that's not my favorite part of the job. So it really is like relationship and planning based. And if I can make an impact on someone's life, like if they can leave a meeting with me feeling better about their lives, feeling more comfortable financially, that allows them to go live their life more impactfully or with like more joy or less stress. That to me is what financial planning is, more so than, hey, I work with this guy because he gets me a really good rate of return on my investments. Does that make sense how I
It
said that?
absolutely makes sense. I was going to say, I want to interject by saying, we had a conversation, and we had a conversation as friends and acquaintances, and we had a conversation professionally about life insurance and about options and futures, right? For sure. And it made me feel better. And I love that conversation. We had two like 45 to an hour
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
conversations about that, one professional and one informal, which was great. And the way that I was thinking about it for sure is what I see you as a lifestyle designer, right? Because money is a very important tool, like you said, to design the life that you want,
Yeah.
that you would like to
Yeah.
have, right? Whatever your priorities are. So I've talked to you about this. You did a needs analysis with me. You said, what are your needs? What do you require to move forward? But like, what are your needs and your desires for life specifically, right? And I told you, I said, I'm a man of faith. I love God. I love to serve God. I want to reproduce. I want to make babies. I want to serve my wife. I want to play sport, play golf, travel, do all these different types of things. Well, that takes a lot of money, right? So, I'm going to design my life in a way that I can afford to do these certain types of things. One of the big things I talked about on the show, Adam, that I told you is that the aspirations for our family, my wife and I are 100% in line on this, is to be a single income household so that she can be home. And I'll tell you what, I mean, you could probably, attest to this for sure. Your wife goes on that leave. I mean, your wife went back to work, I believe you said right now, and no harms with that. That's incredible. I love that. But it's a lot of work for sure, being pregnant and the taxation on the body and the effort and the mental difficulty that women go through for sure.
Yeah.
So we were
Yeah.
blessed to have the opportunity for Casey to be off work 4 months before her due date, which is the greatest thing that we could have done, which is
For
amazing.
sure.
So that takes planning and that takes lifestyle
That's
sacrifice.
right.
It takes
Yeah.
putting
That's
together a
exactly right.
budget. We have an app called YNAB that we use. We utilize different structures in order to figure out what our monthly income is, what our expenses are, how much we want to invest and put away on all those different types of things. And one of the reasons we were able to get there was because we talked to somebody like yourself and we set these lofty goals and we're aspiring towards them. And we also had serious hurdles to get over, which we've gotten over. And there will be more that comes. So when it comes to that, I see you as a lifestyle designer, right?
Yeah.
And you have this really
I like
interesting.
that term.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, that's credit to you for sure.
Yeah.
You have this really interesting niche that you've told me about. And you and I golfed in the past a couple times. We're both members at Glendale. And you're a hockey player, right? You formerly played professionally, and that's like a little niche that you have. So I believe the riches are in the niches, and you got to specialize in a certain type of person or a certain type of service in order to get down to that nitty gritty. So you're talking to hockey players in a way that I can help you build that rapport or that wealth that needs to get you to the next level. I want you to get a little bit into the connection between your career as a hockey player and more specifically, because we don't like surface level questions. You played in the minor leagues, correct? So it's no surprise that you didn't make a ton of money, but you got paid to do something that you loved. And then now you're transitioning into something in your early to mid 30s, well, for your career that is in finance. Tell us about that journey of a minor league hockey player moving into the financial world.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely lots of things I've learned. I always attribute hockey is kind of was everything in my life, and it's given me kind of everything. I think like most of my life like came from the things that came out of hockey, like the skills I learned, the teamwork, how to like be committed to something and like stick to a goal and like try to like improve at something. Like hockey was my whole life, but it was like my goal in life was hockey. Was that, so then having to think of something else and do something different certainly was challenging. The way it kind of worked for me, I've said this before, and it's not a secret. I don't know very many people that grew up dreaming of being in finance. Like, I don't know very many people that grew up like my life's dream is to be a banker or to be an insurance agent or to be a financial advisor. I don't know very many people that like as children that was like their goal. Most of us fell into it. It just kind of happened. And that's what happened to me. Is like I was in university, I liked math, I was interested in business. One that, like most people that go to university, you don't really know what you want to do with your life. I ended up studying accounting and finance. I graduate. I tried accounting, didn't like it. If you've learned anything just from listening to me speak, I know how to talk. Being an accountant in auditing, you don't do a lot of talking. You stare at a screen. So I realized that wasn't for me. So then I was like, okay, I didn't really like the accounting side. I'm going to try the finance side. I ended up interviewing for a position. And I remember it very bluntly. Someone asked that he ended up hiring me. But what he asked me in the interview was, so you have a finance degree. What do you want to do in finance? I remember like truthfully not knowing how to answer that question because I didn't even know what the options were. So here I am with a finance degree. Like, I don't know. I thought you were going to tell me what the options are. So that was my introduction into like the finance world. And it just so happened to be in personal finance, financial planning, financial advice. Fell in love with it instantly because it has a really big human element to it. So yes, there's the math and there is like a mathematical piece to it of how much you're earning and understanding the tax rules and how much do you have to save and how do investments work and all of that. There's for sure that component of it, but the biggest part of it is the interpersonal and the relationship side. And so I instantly fell in love with it. And then as to your question, like how did I end up working with hockey players? Well, then that was just a marriage of the two things. You know, I was a hockey player. I was around hockey players my whole life. I was in the room. I never played in the NHL. I don't understand what it's like to make $1 million at 18 years old. I didn't do that, but I was close enough to it. And I know friends. I played with some pretty good players that did do it. So I was able to leverage kind of talking to those guys, learning their experiences, but then marrying that with working at a firm and learning how to actually be a financial planner and a financial advisor is kind of putting those things together has kind of helped just be around. It just works well when talking to hockey guys. Like I just know how to communicate with them, but then I also have kind of the technical expertise, you could call it, now that I've got the designations and the experience. So I didn't at first, took some time to get there, but now I do.
It takes time for sure as a professional in anything. Nothing is automatic and nothing's quick for sure. That reminds me of something. It's really beautiful. I mean, you have a brotherhood, right? Hockey players, your teams growing up in the sport, you have a brotherhood. I heard a guy say this one time, Andy Elliott. He's he's a hardcore personal development coach, sales guy for sure. He said two things that will destroy a man very quickly is not having a great brotherhood and marrying the wrong woman or being with the wrong woman. Now, it sounds like you have it pretty good in both. I don't know your wife, and I've never
Yeah.
met her. It sounds like you
Yeah.
have a great family and a wonderful relationship, and your marriage is very, very strong, and you have a beautiful, young child as a result of that. And you have a brotherhood, which is hockey for sure. So I can relate to that for sure. I played hockey, I played golf, I had the brotherhood. I feel like honestly, to get a little vulnerable, my brotherhood is lacking little bit about the moment at the moment. But in regards to building yourself up with the men that are around you in your life and hockey, and combining that with your family and putting finance into that, what would you say is the most important thing that's gotten you to that level of success?
Yeah. It's the most important thing. That's a great question. If I had to answer the most important thing that I would attribute to like any success I had in my hockey career would definitely be the mentors that I had along the way. And like I can think of a couple specific coaches that I had that kind of, and so now I actually transition. Like I do run a hockey academy, or I help run a hockey academy here in the city. And being in that position, trying to remember, like there's like specific names I can remember them. I remember the people that I would say like changed my life because they changed my hockey career because they kind of gave me a chance and like gave me the confidence. So I try to like pull that forward. So I would say like most importantly is like the the mentors or the coaches, the people that you look up to that are like showing you the way, I guess. And that was coaches, but then there's also players. Like as a young player, like when I went to junior, there's like players I remember that like acted a certain way that I really wanted to like be like them. I just thought I thought the world of some of those older guys that treated me so well. It's really easy to forget that when you become like the older guy in the room and there's a young guy that's kind of bugging you and annoying you. And so I remember feeling bad about myself sometimes that I was like, I don't think I'm acting as good as some of the guys treated me, and trying to remember that, and
Yeah.
made some mistakes along the way that I think I maybe learned and course corrected along the way and things like that. But you did mention something that like the brotherhood piece is part of it. I think you and I have talked about it. Like I would imagine most athletes go through this. Most of the ones that I played with or grew up with that were now past that part of our lives and into life number two, I guess you could call it. Because when you play hockey, like at a high enough level where it's like you're at college or pro or whatever, like it is, you live and breathe it. It's what you do 365 days a year. Even when you're not doing it, it's like I identified as a hockey player. Like that was my thing. And then when that's no longer the case and you're not, the simplest way I've explained it to people is you take for granted how good it is for your mental health to have 6 days a week where you go and like a workout that is basically 10 out of 10 challenging,
Yeah.
get you going, physical, an absolute outlet to like get everything out with your best friends for 2 to 3 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then all of a sudden, nothing. It doesn't surprise me at all that takes a little bit of getting used to. Like what a massive change in your life to go from having that to not having it. So I think you and I've talked about that's something that that you just have to kind of get used to and learn with and kind of it's just different. Life is different on the other side of being a competitive athlete for sure.
That's amazing. I've heard a lot about this, so I can't relate at the same level. I never played at the same level of hockey that you might have, or been the level an athlete at that level. But there's things that I love about the parallels between athletics and business, right? I know this is neat. This is, very cliche that people would say this, that the competition in sport relates to the competition in business, the grind, the hustle, the mental exhaustion, the physical, taxation on your body and your mind. It's just a little bit different, but there's a lot of parallels, which is why athletes make typically pretty good business people, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And then going from, like you said, for sure, and I feel like I've been going through this a little bit, as we age and as we get older, you have all these people and you have these, these brothers and these sisters and these people that are around you all the time. And you're grinding, you're going 10 out of 10, and then you go to nothing right away, which is why, we struggle as we get older when our relationships get deeper, but they condense more and there's a lot less of
Yeah.
them, for sure. So I can relate in regards to age. But Adam, I want to get a little bit uncomfortable with you. I know you're happy to have a bit of this conversation, which is awesome, because one of the things we talk about on this show is faith. Okay. So I presented a verse to you today about the struggle and about the fact that it's not the end of the world and that we have an everlasting eternity that we can be excited for sure. You and I had a really interesting conversation because I told you I'm not religious at all. I believe in Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior. This effect that Charlie Kirk had on us in his passing, a couple of weeks ago, rocked a lot of us in a serious and tremendous way, but it made you think a little bit deeper about faith in your own life. And as somebody who didn't grow up with any faith, and you told me it's kind of the contrary, where it was kind of looked down upon, and now you have a little bit of interest. Where does that come from? Like, what is your interest in learning about faith and understanding maybe what's on the other side of this hockey and business life that you've had?
Yeah, I think what I shared with you, there's a couple of reasons why I'm intrigued by it. One is, especially as I've gotten older, I've gotten more interested. And I think this is a funny thing I joke about with my friends. It's like, as a kid, I couldn't care less, but as I get older, I'm way more interested in like history and
Yeah,
learning about the world. I've joked recently that I'd love to like go back to some of my like high school classes and like learn this because I know they taught it to us in school. I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember any of it.
yeah, yeah. Neither did I. I didn't have much of an upbringing with it either.
So I was like, I just don't remember, and I'm super interested. And you and I talked about, I went into like learning about Stoicism and like that part of that type of philosophy. And I started reading like Marcus Aurelius, and I started reading stuff like that. And I got super interested in that. And then when it comes to religion, it was just never really there. And I didn't know much about it, but started getting interested just honestly from like a historical standpoint, like not like, as I become an adult and just seeing how much religion has shaped the world, like feel like I want to know more. I want to understand why, like what happened, what's the story. I wish I knew it better. So historically, and just being interested in the history of it was part of it. But then it also goes back to that hockey piece and I've said this before, that, it never was something I never thought anything of it. It was kind of like, oh, I totally get religion. I can totally get why someone would be religious, and it gives them like they wake up in the morning, it's something, it gives them like something to strive toward. Whereas I never needed that because I was hockey and that competitive juice that I had from that, like that was enough for me. So it was never like, oh, I think religion is stupid. It was just, I just don't need it. I have enough and I have family and it's good enough. But, once that competitive piece got taken away, like I still have family, I still have great family, but I don't have that hockey family. I don't have that same wake up every morning ready to go do this thing that I'm super excited to do. Just started thinking that it might be something to explore, that it might be something that, you know, gives you that extra, that meaning or something to strive for, I guess. And just that, so that's where I started my journey of just kind of starting to learn more and just
Yeah,
baby steps, taking baby steps, but trying to learn more and trying to,
it's amazing.
instead of just kind of dismiss it as something, I don't need that. I think it's for other people. It's not for me. Be more interested in, well, what am I missing? Like, what is this? What is this for? What, maybe this is a good thing. So
Well, that's
that's kind of
amazing.
been my perspective.
I love that answer, Adam, and it's really cool. We've had these conversations before, and doing it on recording is a little different, right? Because this is going to go out, on the airways, right? And people are going to see
Yeah.
this and hear this and be like, "Oh, Adam Henry, yeah, he's interested in Jesus. He's read a couple Bible verses. It's kind of odd for sure." And we all go through that at some point. I mean, for sure, I would be hard pressed to think that somebody goes through their entire life hating religion. I think that would be kind of ridiculous. It's why would you hate something in your entire life for
I
sure?
like it, hate it. Hate would just be a weird
Exactly.
way to, it'd be a weird thing to hate.
Yeah, it would be a weird thing to hate for
But I
sure.
shouldn't say that. I guess I should say that I'm sure there are people, and from my experience, that have their reasons to hate it. I guess I imagine there are certainly people that have their reasons, and
Look, there's
so
been some awful things done in the name of God or in Jesus or in
yeah,
any religion out there. And that's what they say, that the two things that create the most wars in the world would be
yeah.
land and religion, which is very sad. And it's very unfortunate that that's what it is. It's an everlasting thing that's, it's always been there for sure. Go ahead.
And I think Steve, that was like an important piece for me, like as I'm just trying to learn, and I guess maybe it's just maturity and just growing up and just exploring the world and what's out there. But I think I always heard maybe the negative pieces about it. And I think that's representative of the world we live in today. And I think about this all the time, how just negative headlines are so much more attention grabbing than positive headlines. And so in any, whether it's business, sport, religion, the things you hear about that grab your attention tend to always be the negative ones. And I think that I felt maybe I was guilty of, I only heard the negative sides. And so then I just associated, oh, there's all these negative things. Like, I don't understand why people go to church because there's so many negative things associated with it. And I never took the time to realize there's obviously, and it sounds silly to say because it's such a powerful and large institution, but that was my experience with it, I guess.
It's crazy, Adam. No, I totally understand. And I would agree for sure. I mean, negative, right? I talked about this on the post when you're excited about talking on the show tonight about this for sure. We're wired for negative. Unfortunately, we need to rewire ourselves. We actually have to unlearn. There's a great verse, actually, not far off this one in the book of Romans, that says we need to renew and rewire our minds in order to see something in a different fashion. It's very challenging. So, we've been called in order to do that. But, it, I love what you're saying. I totally understand it. I was there as well too. I went away from the church for a good 20 years in my life. I didn't really grow up a lot in it, a little bit, because it was the thing that you did as a kid. But I came back on my own. And I would say this very boldly and very uncensoredly, that it's really the mark of a good man when you can go and you can do something and you're convicted about it because, or just based on the fact that you're making that decision on your own, right? Because we are very influenced by others in our life. We're influenced by our parents. We're influenced by our friends. We're influenced by the people around us for sure. And going against the norm, like we saw Charlie do a lot, is very difficult and it's very challenging. But as you get older, you feel a little bit more comfortable with something. And this is not just to do with religion, but you're looking at something a little bit different. Like you said, we look at these negative, headlines in our lives and we say, oh, it's the popular thing. I'm just going to go along with it for sure. The hardest thing when you see something that, the world doesn't necessarily agree with is to actually go against the grind, right? And that's what it was like for me with faith. With going back to church, I had a bit of a calling. I had, the struggle in my life talking about the verse and understanding, hey, this is not what life's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be living an eternal life that's beautiful and that's wonderful, that I'm aiming for something, right? And going for something wonderful. So I can't let the negativity overcome me. Because when I went back to the faith, my parents weren't involved. My sister wasn't. My friends weren't. It was something personally on my own. And I'm not trying to pedestal myself saying that I'm better than anybody else because I was able to get there on my own. Obviously, there were a lot of people that helped me along the way, but that's a part of being a man for me. So the struggle definitely is real, and it's something that's been a good thing for me. I see it as a net positive. And if you step back and you look at religion, in my opinion, there's a lot more positive that has come from it than negative, but the negative is amplified because that's what
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. For sure.
Necessity
Like many things,
attention, right?
like many things, like many institutions in our lives, the negatives are, I mean, hey, It's not a secret that the institution of hockey in Canada has been dragged through the mud, and there's been some negativity there. Does that mean that everyone that's involved in hockey is bad and that hockey is a net negative? I don't believe so, and I have very strong conviction in that. So it's no different than what you're saying. It's the same thing. It's just the negativity, just negative news is just so much louder than positive news, which is a shame. And I don't know, you and I think since we've reconnected in the last few weeks, I think the reason our conversations are good is I think we both have a pretty like optimistic, energetic outlook on life. So the opposite of negativity, I guess. That's why I think our conversations go well, is that we feed off of positive energy and try to see the good in everything. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works and not everything is like that. But we have the power to see the good in things and try to do better. And so I
I
try to
could not agree more,
I try
man.
to live by that as much as I can. It's not easy, but
I could not agree more, man, for sure. I mean, there's a couple ways you can look at life. You can look at it as a dumpster fire and a shithole, and it's no fun, and there's so many bad things going on. And then, I talk to people a lot about that, and they say, why would you have kids in this environment? It's because I believe in the eternal life. I believe in the beauty. I believe in the love. I know we're going to overcome the darkness. Darkness is only the absence of light. So that's all we need is more light and more positivity. Man, the people that are the funnest to be around and the ones making the biggest impact and that have the most fun and beauty and love in their life are the positive ones anyways. So why would we
yeah.
choose to be negative when we have all these great things that we can look forward to? For sure, I look at my life; it's a net positive. It's a miracle that it's happened, uncovering right before my eyes, and I give that glory to God unashamedly, and without any reservations or whatnot, which is great. So this has been wonderful having this conversation, Adam. We got to wrap this up here shortly, but I need to hear a little bit more about your mentality as a warrior. I see that on your branded sweater right there. Your hockey career, your financial business, and how people can find you online so that they can connect and engage with your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm doing lots of stuff. As far as like just being a warrior, I love that because it absolutely has nothing to do other than that's just the brand of the sweater. But sure, I try to live by that. I would say I spend a lot of time trying to do better and then constantly not and struggle. Like I always, and you and I were talking about this today, trying to set up habits and trying to like, I don't know. I listen to people and everyone always says, so if anyone's listening to this is like, just know that we're all the same. We're all just trying to do a little better and we don't do a great job all the time. But if you just are always trying to do a little bit better, good things will come over time. So yeah, I'm a financial planner. My company is Rockmore Wealth Management. We work with individuals, households, business owners, doctors, hockey players. We're independent financial planning professionals. We're here to help. So always open for a conversation. If you've made it this far in the conversation, this is how working with me goes is we have conversations like this and we go back and forth, but then I bring to the table expertise because I am a certified financial planner. I am a chartered investment manager. I have over 5 years of experience working with clients plus a university degree. So I can bring some technical expertise, but my relationship with clients is meant to be, well, I want to have a personal relationship with the people I work with. I always say this, I've said this before. I don't want to be in a position where when someone that I work with or that has hired me to work with them, if they call me and I see their name on the phone and I'm like, oh my God, I really don't want to talk to this person. I don't really want that in my life because you really only do get one life and work is a big part of your life, but it doesn't need to like suck the life out of you. So
I hear you. Where do we find you on the socials?
I am not on social media.
LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn, I guess. So LinkedIn, you can find me, but I am not on any of the Twitter, Instagram. I mean, I had a Facebook page, but something I'm trying to keep myself off, starting to think about from a business side of things, maybe getting on there and getting
No, that's awesome.
re-engaged. But on a personal side, I've tried to stay out of it for a while.
Probably for the better.
We'll see. Yeah.
I love it.
It's funny. I've done that for a while, but now it's business wise. I think I maybe want to start engaging with people a bit more and getting out there. So, but I don't know where to start. So we'll see.
Hey,
Maybe I'll
man.
start a podcast like you.
There you go. Yeah, we could talk a little bit more about it. Riverside, man, doing all the work and all the energy, and giving the glory to the creator, so that we can do great things in this world, man. That's awesome. This has been a great conversation. We're excited to have you, man. Go through the struggle so that you can find the eternal life, the beauty, the love, and the wonder. With Adam Henry, he is the guy in order to lead you there. So thanks so much for joining the Steve Setka Show, Adam, and go kill it in your life.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you found value in what we shared and that you'll take it with you to positively impact the world around you. If so, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and share the show because we're on a mission to grow and reach more hearts. Prayers, gratitude, and love. Until next time.